Hello everybody and welcome to the Thursday edition of Video Clips. Today I want to talk to you about people who are fighting back. I mean, every once in a while in the midst of all this crap, you just need some inspiration. I know I do, and I get very inspired when people send me this kind of thing. It lets me know that there are some people with integrity out there who work for the government or who are, most of these are government people who are really trying to make things better, even though we have despots and criminals in charge of our lives right now. So this came from a press conference given by Mayor Patrick Payton, a small town in Texas. And I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but he makes a couple of comments I think you really do want to hear. He says, wearing of masks when in public. Until I'm overruled by a vote of the City Council, I will not mandate the wearing of masks, for I will not become party to a city that is policing and citing the general public for not wearing a mask. A mandate by the governor is unenforceable, as is any mandate here in Midland, not to mention we have already come too close to trampling civil liberties in the ways we have treated businesses and the way we have treated a free people. He then goes on to say, I'm very disappointed in the selective nature of closing bars. I believe bars should have every right that restaurants have to operate within proper safety measures. Unfortunately, this is a matter that bar owners will have to deal with as the licensing department of the state is out and about and ready to issue cease and desist orders and even pull liquor licenses. Once again, when we start picking and choosing what we think is healthy and essential, we destroy livelihoods and we even destroy lives. I'm not making my decision about masking based on the Republican Party, any special interest, or the most heated emails. This is my personal leadership conviction, and I'm more than willing to stand on it or even lose on it. I still believe in the goodness of the free people of Midland and the Basin to do the right thing by their neighbor and for their neighbor. I personally will not endorse ongoing pressure to further mandate the actions of people. I'm comfortable with this conviction and quite comfortable with whatever this conviction might cost me politically. Over the last several months, we have not just come dangerously close to violating civil liberties. We have violated civil liberties. And then he lists some of them: closing down businesses because of some arbitrary designation of essential versus non-essential, all the while essential businesses sell the same products the non-essential businesses used to sell. Shutting down the right of people to worship. Mask ordinances around the state are allowing exceptions to places of worship, but you can't go tubing in the great outdoors or stand outside on a patio with your friends and have a beer. Mandating that families cannot properly mourn the loss of their loved ones. When we're jumping through hoops with exceptions and explanations, we're not serving the people, we're controlling and manipulating the people, and that's exactly what's going on. In the midst of this panic associated with the unknown, we have demonstrated how easily we will succumb to the king when we cannot control something or do not feel like we're safe. In less than 1 week, the kings and queens of Washington, D.C. and even Austin shut the entire country down uniformly and in some cases unnecessarily. Are we still dealing with a virus? For sure. Are there easy solutions? Not at all. But free Americans must not so easily allow a fractious, divided, and politically motivated body of value lightweights to dictate day-to-day living to a degree it kills people economically, socially, and even physically. Free people know the right things to do and are prepared to live with the consequences of their action. People living in tyranny freely give their rights away to an empty promise of provision and protection. Out here in West Texas, we still believe in the power of a free people, even when we can't see the enemy. Well, to be clear, we're not free people. Here in Ohio, we're living under the Emperor DeWine. Some people call him Emperor DeSwine. I kind of like that name, actually. I think it more is suited to him. Anyway, don't fool yourself. We are not a free people right now. We're trying to gain our rights back. MakeAmericansFreeAgain.com. Please go there and register. All right, here's another guy, stand-up guy, the Montgomery County Sheriff Rand Henderson. So the former governor, now Emperor Greg Abbott in Texas, ordered residents to wear masks. And the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office issued a statement announcing it would not enforce the statewide order. According to the Sheriff's Office, the order's language preventing law enforcement from detaining, arresting, or confining to jail those who violated the order strips law enforcement of the necessary tools to enforce compliance with the law. The language included in the governor's order could subject our agency and Montgomery County as a whole to civil liability, as stopping someone for a face covering related issue could be construed or misconstrued as a detention, the statement read. Additionally, holding someone for the purpose of issuing a citation related to a fine is a legally defined detention under current Texas law. And so he goes on to say that, you know, we're in a public health crisis, so we'll use this opportunity to educate the community while respecting individual liberties. And so it's nice to see that some people in government understand that the government works for us. We are not their slaves and serfs. They've totally gotten that wrong lately, but that's not the way it is. Sheriffs in 8 other counties joined Montgomery County too. And then the Butler County Sheriff here in Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, was one of the first to demand masks. And the Butler County Sheriff, Dayton is in Butler County. His name is Rick Jones. He held a press conference, and I watched it. He said he was getting emails and texts and calls regarding this mandatory mask thing in Butler County. He said, quote, "I want to make sure everybody understands I am not the mask police. I'm not going to enforce any mask wearing. Not my responsibility, not my job. People should be able to make this decision for themselves." He says it's getting kind of ridiculous. And then he goes on to talk about the economy's trying to get back. You can't go to restaurants. People are looked down upon if they try to go to church. He said everything is totally out of control. He said it's one thing, if you're sick, you might need to stay home. But for all of us to have our temperature taken and wear a mask, where is it going to stop? So the reason for all of this is supposedly the surge in Ohio. So this guy, being a thinking person, checked with the hospital staff. He said most hospitals have laid off people because of this. He says people are still not working. It just makes everything harder. For people who aren't sick, they shouldn't have to wear masks. Police are busy. Budgets have been cut. The fire department, everybody has less resources to work with. This whole mess doesn't make it better. So don't call 911 in Butler County if you find somebody who's not wearing a mask. Then he goes on to say if the health department wants to enforce it, let them put a little yellow light, he went just like this, on their cars, and they can stop people. They will not like the response. People are tired of it and they're worn out. He says, I think this could have been handled differently, and he instructed his deputies also not to enforce. It's killing businesses. People are going out of business. Please try to come down and talk to regular working people, he said in his press conference. Cannot, will not do it. He said, I took an oath to uphold the Ohio Constitution and the United States Constitution, and this doesn't fit in. He says, somebody asked, he did a little bit of Q&A, and he said, somebody asked, what is going to happen if businesses shut down? He said, I hope it doesn't come to that. And then somebody brought up again, the hospitals are full. And he said, I called and they're not. We're getting a lot of that reporting from around the country too. I wish that leaders in high places would come talk to us and feel the pain we're going through and see the suffering. Sometimes we just don't need the government's help. Stand up, people. And that's good to see. That's just good to see. I wish somebody in Franklin County would do that where I live, but the Emperor is really serious about it. Emperor DeSwine is very serious about this here in Ohio. All right, so bright note here. Florida Civil Rights Coalition has joined forces with many law firms, I won't list them here, to seek emergency as well as permanent injunctive relief against Palm Beach County's unlawful mask mandate, which infringes upon the well-settled constitutionally protected freedoms of over 1 million Palm Beach County residents. Yes. The unlawful mandate, the complaint says, clearly violates our constitutional and fundamental human right to privacy and bodily autonomy. And despite having no authority under Florida law to do so, Palm Beach County officials recklessly violated the rights of countless American citizens and Florida residents. Without declaratory and injunctive relief sought by plaintiffs in this action, countless Palm Beach County residents and visitors will suffer irreparable harm as a result of an unconstitutional mandate which, for the first time in Florida history, forces individuals to submit to medical treatments with well-known risks and potential for serious harm. I want to see hundreds, thousands of these types of lawsuits filed. That's why Make Americans Free Again. We are building a lawsuit center so we can aggregate all the complaints and make it, and attorneys who are willing to take these cases and start to move this lawsuit thing further along, faster and further. And I have thoughts about how to do things that I think will make you pretty excited. Again, but I need you guys to help me out and back me up. All you got to do is sign up. I'm not asking you to do anything other than sign up. All right, free again in Illinois. This is exciting. Judge Michael McHaney ruled that all citizens of Illinois are free from the emperor. He used the term governor, but I like the term emperor. Pritzker's tyrannical orders. The motion for summary judgment was filed by State Representative Darren Bailey. Thank God, an upstanding politician. against Governor Pritzker on April 23, 2020. The judge granted the declaratory relief requested and ordered a final judgment on the merits against Pritzker. And so what this really came down to, I won't read the whole decision to you, although it's really interesting, is that Pritzker's orders expired 30 days and he had no ability to continue. So anything he did after April 8th of 2020 he had no authority to do. And so the court went on to rule there's no authority in the Constitution for Pritzker to have ever ordered the restriction of people's movement, or to have, that means shelter at home, or to have ever ordered the forcible closure of any business. Now, I'm thinking lawsuits. In other words, if he did this and he had no authority to do it, and I had a business that was hurt, I would file a lawsuit. I'd file lots of lawsuits, get a class action lawsuit going, make the state of Illinois and Pritzker personally. Remember, Pritzker's a billionaire. He's worth suing, okay? Make that guy pay for what he did to these people that he had no authority to do. The judge made clear that in Illinois, I think this is very interesting, only the Illinois Department of Public Health and local health departments have the authority to restrict movement or close a business, but to do it, they have to act within the constraints of existing law. And so they said if it's merely trying to prevent the spread of a virus or isolate a person that's not already sick, the burden of proof is almost insurmountable. And then it goes on that the 48 hours, the longest you could detain somebody or close a business is 48 hours without going through some type of due process in some court or somehow to get permission and demonstrate that it was lawful, that it's lawful to continue after that. Some businesses have been closed down since March and are still not open, or are open under severe restrictions and still not able to make enough money even to pay their bills. So if the Department of Health issues an order, they're still required to either obtain your consent or a court order within 48 hours unless the courts are unavailable or circumstances make it impossible to obtain a court order. But the courts were operating during this entire time for this type of thing. So the bottom line is that the Emperor Pritzker got his wings clipped a little bit. They say, of course, they're going to appeal because he does not want to set the people of Illinois free. It's not enough that he's a billionaire bankrupting people by the droves. That's not enough fun for him. He needs to make it far worse for them, okay? He wants it to continue. I think that's what's amazing about this is the fact that these people clearly want to continue this terrible torture of human beings. I've said this before. I think Hitler right now from the grave is looking on and saying, I am so proud of these people. I could not have dreamed of anything this horrific to do to people in all of the years that I was terrorizing Europe and Jewish people and black people and gypsies. I mean, he had targeted populations. These people hate everybody, right? They just hate everybody. All right, well, there are some good things going on out there. And so one of the things that you might want to do is contact your state, if you have a state representative or senator who is on your side on this issue, you might want to consider that person filing a lawsuit against the emperor or ruler or empress of your state, since this lawsuit was so successful. All right, love to see that happen in every place where despots are still in charge. That would be wonderful. All right, well, that's enough for today. As usual, pass this on to anybody who you think would enjoy watching it or benefit from watching it. I don't know anybody enjoys this kind of thing, but and I will be back to you tomorrow with more news.